You see, the greatest prison in the world has no walls. It has no guards. It has no barbed wire. And yet billions live in it every day. For what? It's called your own mind. The mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And most people, for what? They're not living life, they're living their thoughts, not reality, not this moment, just thoughts. Thoughts that tell you, you're not enough. Thoughts whisper, you will fail again. The thoughts that repeat like poison over and over again. This is negative thinking. And what? And my dear one, it must die. Not tomorrow, not someday now. It's time to kill your negative thinking before it kills the life inside you. Let's imagine this. You buy a phone, expensive, top of the line. It can do everything. Call, text, email, map the stars, even recognize your face in the dark. But now imagine this phone randomly starts dialing people at 3 a.m., sending messages you never typed, opening your bank account without asking you. What? You wouldn't say, hey, it's just my phone being creative. You'd say, something is wrong. You'd reset it, fix it, maybe even throw it away. Yet this is exactly what most people allow their minds to do every day. You sit in silence and your mind says, what if everything goes wrong? You try to sleep and it whispers, you're not good enough. You get an opportunity and your mind floods you with doubt. You'll fail like last time. Now tell me, is this mind a tool in your hands or are you in its chains? The mind is a phenomenal instrument. Nothing in this world was created without it. Every bridge, every symphony, every poem, every miracle of science born from the mind. But the same mind that built airplanes also built bombs. The same mind that wrote sacred texts also devised system of oppression. The same mind that dreams of love also sinks into hatred and fear. The mind, my friend, is not inherently good or bad. It is a scalpel in the hands of a surgeon. It heals. In the hands of a madman, it harms. The question is not what kind of mind you have, but how you're using it. You see, most people don't use their minds consciously. Their minds use them. And the sad part is, they don't even realize it. You're not anxious because life is hard. You're anxious because you keep telling yourself stories about what might go wrong. You're not angry because of what someone did. You're angry because your mind keeps playing that scene like a broken movie reel. You're not depressed because of the past. You're depressed because your mind won't stop dragging the past into your present. Look around. A person loses their job. 2 people, same day. One of them collapses, says, my life is over. The other says, all right, now I get to start something new. What changed? The situation is identical. But their minds, entirely different masters. So I ask you, who's driving your car? Who's steering your life? If your mind is always panicking, always fearing, always doubting, you are being driven by a drunk driver. And the first step to freedom is to take the wheel back. But how? Let me tell you something shocking. You don't have to believe every thought you think. A thought is just a suggestion, like a cloud passing by. But you are the sky. The thought says, I can't do this? Fine. Let it say that. But why should you agree? The thought says, they don't love me. Fine, it's just a thought. Who gave it authority? You must start treating your mind like a personal assistant. Sometimes helpful, sometimes ridiculous. And like any assistant, it needs training. If you don't train, it runs wild. If you don't discipline it, it misbehaves. When the mind throws fear at you, don't react. Observe. What? When it spits out judgment, don't act, pause. When it whispers self-doubt, don't accept, question. You are not your thoughts. You are the one aware of your thoughts. There is a gap between us and response. In that sacred space lies your power. I once met a young man who told me, my mind never shuts up. I keep thinking I'll fail, I'm not enough, I can't, I won't. I asked him, who taught you to think like that? He said, nobody. It just happens. I said, exactly, that's the problem. You never chose these thoughts. They're not yours. You're just renting space to the wrong tenant. If someone came into your home every night, threw mud on your walls, broke your dishes, for what? Shouted insults, would you keep inviting them? But we let these destructive thoughts live rent-free in our heads, and we feed them with our attention. Stop feeding them. Begin with simple awareness. When a negative thought arises, don't panic. Just say, The mind is active again. Interesting. Just like a baby crying in another room, you hear it, you acknowledge it, but you don't have to run and hold it every time. You're not here to be a prisoner of your mind. You're here to master it. And mastery doesn't mean silence. It means space. It means the ability to choose thoughts deserve your energy and which ones to let float away like leaves in the river. Every morning, look at your mind and ask, are you working for me today or against me? Every time you're overwhelmed, stop and say, wait, who's in charge here? Every night, reflect and ask, did I run my mind today or did it run me? And slowly, day by day, you will find that the mind begins to obey. It begins to serve. It becomes your tool. Sharp, intelligent, focused. Not your master. Not your tormentor. Not your enemy. And when that happens, when your mind is like a chisel in the hands of a sculptor, then you will carve a life of beauty, burden. You will create not chaos, but clarity. For you will rise, not because the world changed, but because the ruler inside your head finally learned to kneel. You see, what one of the greatest traps human beings fall into is this simple mistake. They believe every thought that passes through their mind, as if the mind is some divine broadcaster of truth, as if just because something arises within, it must be real. But let me tell you, thought is not truth. It never was. It never will be. Thought is like a cloud floating across sky. It can be light and beautiful, or it can be dark and stormy. But it is not the sky. The sky remains untouched. Similarly, you are not your thoughts. You are the vast consciousness behind them. Every day, you and I meet people who say things like, I'm not good enough. Nobody really cares about me. Or, I'll never make it in life. Now pause for a moment. Who told them that? Did life come and whisper these things in their ear? Did the universe hand them a document that said, this is who you are? No. These thoughts came from somewhere. Past experiences, broken words, unresolved emotions. And they started repeating themselves, like a radio stuck on one miserable channel. Just because a thought's loud doesn't make it wise. Just because a thought is old doesn't make it true. For what? Many of you are living with thoughts that were planted in your childhood. A teacher said you were slow, and now you think you're unintelligent. A parent withheld love, and now you think you're unlovable. You made one mistake, and now you think you're a failure. These are not truths. These are stories. Stories written by pain, fear, and misunderstanding. And here's the tragedy. You keep reading them like sacred scriptures. For what? But the scriptures of truth are not written in thoughts. They are written in your presence, in your stillness, in your breath. Look at your life. How many times have your thoughts been wrong? You thought you wouldn't survive that breakup, but you did. You thought you'd never get that job, but you did. For what? You thought you'd always be stuck. Here you are, changing. So if your thoughts were wrong then, why do you believe them so blindly now? The mind is like a storyteller, and if you're not conscious, it becomes a terrible fiction writer. It creates nightmares in broad daylight. It imagines rejection where there is acceptance. It imagines danger where there is opportunity. And here's the worst part. It doesn't stop. Mind doesn't get tired. The mind can tell 1,000 lies in 1 minute. And if you don't have the awareness to question them, they will become your reality. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're walking into a room where everyone turns to look at you. Immediately, the mind says, they're judging you. They're laughing at you. You look foolish. But what if the truth is, they're just curious or admiring you, or simply looking with no opinion at all? What? Now here's the difference. See, if you believe the thought, you shrink. You feel ashamed. You avoid contact. You confirm the very lie your mind created. But if you pause and say, wait, that's just a thought. It might not be true. Then you break the spell. You reclaim your power. You move freely. The problem is not that we think. The problem is that we believe without questioning. For you wouldn't take a stranger's opinion at your life without asking who they are, what they know, and what their intentions are. But every day, people accept the opinions of their own thoughts as gospel. You are not lazy. You are tired and you're uninspired. You are not a failure. You are still learning. You are not unloved. You are surrounded by love. You just stop noticing. You are not lost. You are on a path that's still being revealed. But none of these truths will reach you if the noise in your head keeps screaming the opposite. People say, I can't help it. These negative thoughts just keep coming. Yes, they will come. But you don't have to serve them tea. Just let them pass. Let them knock. Let them speak. But don't invite them in and let them rearrange your furniture. The moment you stop identifying with every though, a strange freedom emerges. It's as if you've been carrying weights for years and suddenly you realize you can put them down. In life, for what matters is not what the mind says, but what you choose to believe the mind will say. You can't. You can say, watch me. The mind will say, very don't. For they don't care. You can say, maybe they're going through something. The mind will say, you'll never change. You can say, change is already happening. Understand this deepening a thought is only as powerful as the attention you give it. Don't argue with every thought. Don't fight every idea. Simply see it. Acknowledge it. And ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this mine? Mine. The world does not suffer because of reality. It suffers because of the distorted lens through which the mind sees that reality. And once you realize that thought is not truth, you gain access to a deeper wisdom, a silent wisdom, the wisdom of your being, not your mind. From that space, you don't need to fight your thoughts. You transcend them, you live above them. And suddenly, the mind becomes quiet. Not because it was silenced, but it was seen. You feel heavy, don't you? Some days it's like a shadow sitting on your chest. No matter what you do, it's just there. Sadness, anger, anxiety, shame. But have you ever stopped and asked them, where is this emotion coming from? You think it's because of something someone said or something that didn't work out. But look deeper and you will see it's not the event. It's the thought you've repeated 1,000 times since that event. Emotion is not random. It is not a storm that appears from nowhere. Emotion is the echo of the vibration, the chemical residue of thoughts repeated again and again. Think of it like this. You're in a room with a loudspeaker playing a message. If that message is negative and you keep playing it on loop, sooner or later, for what? You don't just hear it, you feel it. That message gets into your bones, into your breath, your energy. This is what happens with thought and emotion. Let's say you're walking home and you remember someone said to you a year ago. The moment that memory arises, a thought follows such as, may they were right, maybe I am worthless. Now the mind starts echoing that thought over and over again. You go to sleep with it. You wake up with it. You carry it through day like invisible luggage. And after a few days of repeating that same idea, emotion appears. Shame, sadness, numbness. Not because life has become unbearable, because the mind has become unbearable. Emotion is the echo. Thought is the voice. For what? If you want to stop hearing the echo, you must change the voice. You can't stop a bell from ringing if you keep pulling the rope. So, if you feel trapped in an emotion, ask yourself, what thought am I feeding? What story am I playing on repeat like a broken record? People say, for what? I don't know why I'm depressed. Look closely. It's not a mystery. You've been telling yourself that you're a failure every day, that you're alone, that life is meaningless. And thought, being the magician that it is, creates emotion to match the story. On the other hand, if you wake up and say, today is going to be amazing, I'm blessed, I'm growing, I have purpose, and you repeat it once but consistently, emotion rises to meet that new narrative. You start feeling inspired, motivated, alive. Emotion is not your enemy, it's just a mirror. It reflects your inner dialogue. If the reflection is dark, don't break the mirror. Change the face you're showing it. I remember meeting a young man who said, I hate how anxious I feel all the time. I can't stop it. It's ruining my life. I asked him, what are your dominant thoughts throughout the day? He said, I'm always thinking I'll lose my job. I'll say the wrong thing. People will laugh at me. And do you realize you're watering those seeds constantly? And anxiety is not the problem. It's the flower blooming from those toxic seeds. Now imagine if you reversed it. You start saying to yourself, I I am capable, I learn from every moment. I'm safe in who I am. Maybe at first your mind resists, it says, this is fake. This is not you. But don't stop. Repeat it again and again, like you did with the negative ones. And slowly you'll feel it. The echo will change. Emotion will shift. Not because magic happened, because you reprogrammed the music inside. You are not your emotion. You are the composer. For what most people live emotionally exhausted because they've spent years on mental auto-repeat. Imagine walking around all day with headphones, playing the worst insults and fears in your ears. Wouldn't you feel sick? For what? That's what most people are doing. Except the voice is internal. And because they never switch the track, they stay stuck in the emotion the voice creates. Even happiness works this way. Think about someone who's always grateful. Even when things go wrong, they say, well, there's still something to learn. They don't suppress the pain, but they don't marinate in it. They don't one bad thought spiral into 100. They interrupt it, replace it, reset it. Your brain is not punishing you, it's obeying you. It's getting emotional responses to the thoughts you allow to live in it. So if your inner world feels like a storm, don't chase the rain. Trace it back to the cloud it came from. Start noticing what you say to yourself when no one else is listening, when you spill your coffee, when someone cancels plans, when you mess up. Are you kind or cruel? Are you forgiving or punishing? Because whatever words you use, your body will feel them. Your breath will carry them. Your emotion will embody them. Emotion is not the beginning of suffering. Thought is. Emotion is the aftershock. The echo, the voice made visible. So if you want to live in peace, don't wait for your emotions to change by accident. Change your thoughts by intention. And not once. For what? But repeatedly. With devotion, belief. With patience. Because emotion is not created by one passing idea. It's born from the thoughts we rehearse daily. So rehearse truth, rehearse worthiness, rehearse possibility. And emotion being the faithful echo it is, will follow. Negativity is not something that suddenly appears like a lightning bolt from the sky. It is not gifted to you by fate, and nor is it dropped on your shoulders by some cosmic punishment. No, negativity is not imposed, it is created. And the most unsettling truth is this: for what? Most of the time you are the creator, but you're doing it unconsciously, without intention, without awareness. Like a sleeper building a prison and then wondering why you feel trapped inside. Unconscious creation is the most dangerous kind of creation. For what? Because it comes from choice, but from habit, not from purpose, but from programming. And most people are not suffering because life is cruel. They are suffering because they've allowed the patterns of their mind to run wild, unchecked. For what? Like a car with no driver. Imagine you wake up in the morning, before your feet even touch the ground, the thoughts begin. I didn't sleep enough. Today is going to be hard. I have so much to do. Nobody understands me. I'm tired. I'm behind. I can't do this. Thought after thought. And you're not choosing them. You're not consciously creating them. They're just you happening like background noise. But here's the truth. Just because it's background noise doesn't mean it's harmless. Every one of those unconscious thoughts is like a brick. And without knowing it, you're stacking those bricks into walls around your joy, your clarity, your peace. And before noon even arrives, you're living inside a mental architecture built entirely out of fear, doubt, and lack. That's unconscious creation. You see, you were born a creator. You are creating every moment through your focus, your attention, your language, your reactions. But if you're not aware of that power, it doesn't stop working. It just starts working against you. Negativity is not the presence of something evil. It's the absence of awareness. It's the result of mindless repetition of thoughts that don't serve you. It's when you live your life on autopilot, repeating the same complaints, the same judgments, the same criticisms over and over until they become your identity. Have you ever caught yourself reacting harshly and then saying, that's just how I am? No, that's how you practiced being for years. That's the result of unconscious mental repetition. That's the music your mind has been playing without your permission, but with your participation. Take a man who constantly complains. For what? Nothing ever works out for me. Every failure confirms this belief. Every missed opportunity adds fuel. But he never pauses to see he's you expecting it to go wrong. He's preparing for it to fail. He's unconsciously creating conditions for disappointment. And because he believes the storm is outside, he never questions the thunder inside his own head. But you must question it. You must ask G, who is steering the ship of my mind? Who is choosing my focus? Who is feeding this narrative? You say you don't want to be negative, but do you watch what you consume? The conversations you allow, the self-talk you repeat? Negativity is not just emotional. It is habitual. And habits, when done unconsciously, become identities. You meet someone who is always angry. They don't know why. They just live in a low vibration. But if you listen closely, they are always reinforcing their pain. People are fake. Life is unfair. Nobody cares. It's on repeat. And that repetition is like a ritual, summoning negativity into every interaction. Unconscious creation is a force. For whatever you repeat, whether light or dark, it becomes alive. That is the nature of your mind. It doesn't ask if it's good or bad. It just asks you, Iba, how often do you think this? Yep. So if you want to kill your negativity, you must awaken. Not in a moment of crisis, but in the everyday patterns you overlook. When your coffee spills and your first thought is, of course, just my luck. Pause. That's a creation. When someone cancels plans and you immediately think, they don't value me. Pause. That's a creation. You think these are just passing thoughts, but every thought has a child. And that child is a feeling. And that feeling has a guide. And that grandchild is an action. And actions repeated become a lifestyle. And before you know it, you're living inside a world shaped by thoughts you never chose, but kept feeding. Your mind is like a garden. Negativity is the weed that grows when you stop tending it. It doesn't need effort. It thrives on neglect. Just like a field unattended becomes overrun with thorns, the mind unattended becomes overrun with fear, insecurity, anger, and despair. But here's the power. Once you become conscious, you can create something different. You begin to pull the weeds. You can plant seeds of peace, of joy, of possibility. You can choose to repeat gratitude instead of complaint. You can build new roads inside your mind, not once, but every day, consistently, relentlessly. Because just as unconscious creation gave birth to your negativity, conscious creation can give birth to your freedom. Negativity cannot survive where presence exists. It's like darkness before the sun, no matter how deep the night feels. When light arrives, darkness has no choice but to leave. It doesn't argue, it doesn't resist, it simply disappears. That is the power of presence. Not forceful, not loud, just undeniable. When you are present, truly here now, negativity loses its grip on you. Why? Because negativity lives either in the past you regret or the future you fear. It feeds on the what if, the why me, the what they did, the what if I fail. But none of those exist in the present moment. The present is pure, is untouched, it is silent, yet deeply alive. You can sit under a tree, feel the wind, breathe the air, and for a moment there is no problem, no anxiety, shame, no judgment, just being, just now. And in that now, negativity doesn't have a hook to hold on to. For what? But here's what happens to most people. They wake up and before their eyes are fully open, they've already left the present. The brief for what? They're thinking about the bills, about what went wrong yesterday, about what someone might say today. And in that shift, before the sun even rises, they abandon their power. They think the day is making them negative. No, their absence from the present is making space for negativity to enter. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. You're in your car, music is playing, all is well, then boom. Someone serves in, you get angry, frustrated. Now what really happened? That car passed for 2 seconds. The rest of your drive is unaffected. But your mind holds on, it replays. It talks about how people are disrespectful. And the whole way home, your presence is stolen by a ghost. That moment is gone, but the mind keeps it alive. Negativity lives in that ghost world. But presence is the slayer of ghosts. What? When you're present fully in the now, you don't have time for a pity party. You're too busy feeling alive. When you eat, you eat. When you speak, for what? You speak. When you walk, you feel the ground under your feet. And suddenly, the chatter quiets down. The judgment fades. The regrets lose their teeth. Because the now doesn't carry your history. It carries your truth. Think about children. They laugh, they cry, they play, they fall, but they move on. They don't dwell. Why? Because they live in presence. When they're hurt now. When they're happy now. They don't replay an argument for 7 days. They don't relive rejection for 7 years. We teach them to do that as they grow. We teach them how to abandon presence and become prisoners of mental repetition. But what if you returned? What if you made the now your home again? For what people think presence is passive. It's not. It's the most active power you can hold. Because when you're present for what, you're not reacting from habit. You're responding from awareness. You're not speaking from ego. You're speaking from clarity. Or what? You're not living from fear. You're flowing from truth. Presence is where you meet life, not through the filter of your wounds, but through the lens of what be is. And what is in this moment is never as bad as your mind makes it out to be. You may say, but how can I stay present when my life is full of stress? Understand your life is not full of stress. Your mind is full of stress. Your thoughts about life are stressful, but life itself, if you touch it directly, is not stressful. Breathing is not stressful. Drinking water is not stressful. Sitting is not stressful. The problem is never the now. It's always the inertia surrounding the now. You don't need to escape to a mountain to be present. You just need to wake up to what's here, right now. This breath, this step, this word, this silence. And when you do, you will notice something extraordinary. Peace was never far away. It was always waiting behind your distractions. Presence is not something you do, it's something you allow. You drop into it, you remember it, you return to it again and again. What? Negativity will try to seduce you with familiar pain. It will try to pull you into yesterday's insult, tomorrow's fear, today's worry. For what? When you're present, it's like standing in a clear river. No matter how much mud someone throws, it doesn't stick. It gets washed away instantly by the flow of awareness. You see, the most powerful people in the world are not the ones who control everything. They are the ones who are here, fully, undistracted, unshaken, unburdened by the unnecessary. Imagine having a conversation where you actually listen, fully listen, not waiting to respond, not judging, just being with the other person. Do you know what happens? Connection deepens, comprises. Negativity has no space to fester. Imagine walking to work and actually feeling each step. Hearing the sound of your feet, feeling the breeze, watching the colors of the sky. In that moment, there is no self-image to protect, no story to fix, just living, just presence. And in that space, negativity dies from starvation. It cannot feed where attention is whole. So ask yourself, not just once, but 100 times a day. Where am I? Not your body, your attention. If it's trapped in yesterday, bring it back. If it's fearing tomorrow, what? Bring it back. If it's lost in judgment, bring it back. Because in the now, there are no enemies. There is no failure. There is no shame. There is only life and the chance to live it freely, fiercely. You wake up in the morning and without permission, a thought enters, I'm not good enough. You get out of bed and another follows. What's the point of trying? Nothing ever changes. You walk past the mirror and your mind whispers, look at you. You're a mess. Now pause, right here. Catch this moment. Or what? You are not those thoughts. This truth is not poetic. It is powerful. Because the moment you realize you are not your thoughts, you awaken to a freedom you've never known. A space up between you and what's happening in your mind. And in that space, you take your power back. Most people live their lives enslaved. Not by a system, not by society, but by the chatter inside their own heads. A constant stream of doubt, fear, judgment, comparison. But here's the secret, just because a thought appears doesn't mean it belongs to you. Just because your mind says something doesn't mean it is your truth. Let me give you an example. Imagine a radio station playing in the background all day long. Now, if that station is playing toxic, negative messages, things like, you're a failure, you're behind, nobody cares about you, and you keep listening, without ever changing the channel, over time, you begin to believe that music is your identity. But you're not the radio. You're the listener. You have the power to turn it down. You have the power to change the frequency. The problem is most people don't even realize the station is playing. They think, that must be me. But no, those are just old echoes, conditioned voices passed down through trauma, through criticism, through fear. Your mind is like a sky. Thoughts are the cloud. Some are dark, some move fast, some linger. But you are the e-sky itself, unmoved, untouched, ever present. No matter how stormy it gets, the sky is never damaged. It just allows the weather to pass. When you attach to a negative thought, you give it life. When you believe it without question, you become its servant. But when you witness it, observe it, and choose not to merge with I, for what? You become free, you become conscious. And consciousness is liberation. For what? Think about how many times you've held yourself back, not because something real stopped you, but because of a thought. What if I fail? So you never try. What will people think? So you stay silent. I'm not ready. So you keep waiting. But what if you stopped identifying with that voice? What if you said, that's just a thought. That's not me. Can you feel the weight lifting? This is not denial. This is not pretending that the thoughts don't exist. This is recognizing their place are visitors, not residents. They are suggestions, not truths. You don't have to invite them and feed them tea and let them stay overnight. You can nod at the door and say, I see you, but I'm not going with you. Let's make this real. You walk into a room full of successful people and your mind says, you don't belong here. What if in that moment you took a breath and whispered back? That's just a thought, not a fact. Now instead of shrinking, you straighten, you walk taller, you engage. That single moment of awareness shifts your entire reality. The mind is a storyteller, and most of the time, it's stuck on a loop of fear. It repeats narratives that were formed in moments of pain. Maybe you were rejected once and the mind said, let's avoid that forever. So every time you try to love again, the mind says, danger. Not because love is bad, but because a past wound is still bleeding. But you are not that wound. You are not that voice trying to protect you from living fully. You are the awareness behind the voice, the one watching, the one choosing. People say, but the thoughts feel so real. Yes, feelings follow thoughts. If you think, I'm not worthy, your body responds with heaviness. But change the thought to, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm becoming. And slowly, your body starts to rise in alignment. This is why the ancient sages, the mystics, the awakened ones have always said, awareness is everything. Because once you see that you are not your thoughts, you don't have to obey them. You can thank for their concern and move anyway. You can feel the fear and speak anyway. You can hear the doubt and rise anyway. Don't try to destroy your mind. Don't fight with it. Just see it for what it is, a tool. Like fire, it can warm your home or burn it down. The difference in how consciously you use it. You are not broken. You don't need fixing. You are simply believing voices that were never yours to begin with. Voices from parents, teachers, stranger systems. You've inherited their fears, but you don't have to keep them. You can return them, release them, and reclaim you, not the you defined by your thoughts, but the you that observes them, that questions them, that creates new ones. The you that is still and clear and infinitely powerful. A thought may say, you are not enough. But the deeper you, the true you, knows, I am not this thought. I am the one who hears it and chooses what to do next. So now, beloved seeker, stand tall, not as a prisoner of your thoughts, but as the master of your awareness. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are not your pain. You are the space in which all of these rise and fall, and still you remain. From this moment forward, for what? Don't just watch your thoughts. Right. Don't just fight negativity. Rise in presence here. Because when you know that you are not your thoughts, when you sit in the stillness of your being, when you choose awareness over reaction, you don't just kill negativity. You transcend it. Now walk into your life, not as who you've been told to be, but as who you truly are, boundless, clear, conscious, and completely free.